I've never really played Garry's mod, except for that one time back in 2015 when my close friend Dave and I bought it and played for about 2 hours. The next day Dave moved to another city and since then we lost touch. But today I got an email from someone named Juicy Puppy. Normally this wouldn't mean much, but that was Dave's old nickname from when we were kids. Suspicious? A bit. But it's just so much like him. He'd never just write a simple hello. From what I can tell, he wants me to complete his little quest, picking up where we left off during our last time together. And not just play, but explore every aspect of Garry's mod, broken down into 4 stages. It's fascinating how he's planning to tie all of this together without us actually communicating directly. This is GM Construct, the default map of Garry's mod, a place designed for learning the game mechanics. It's as iconic to this game as Dust 2 is to Shoot a Fence. What's special about it is the countless eerie legends tied to it, like unexplained sounds, voices, flying invisible objects, or mysterious shadows that seem to watch players. What stood out to me the most though is the immersive 3D sound in enclosed spaces. Of course, this is a game engine feature rather than a map-specific one, but it's still a nice touch. The map itself is mostly made of empty rooms where you can hang us with and without mirrors, and this white room, perfect for fans of existential dread.
This is the construct.
And if you ever feel like flying in no-clip mode, way up in the sky you will find a miniature replica of the entire map. I have no idea why it's there. As for tools, we've got the gravity gun, which lets us move and freeze objects. The physics gun, a classic straight out of Half-Life. Then there is the crowbar, for fans of art-house aesthetics. Pistols, shotguns, a crossbow, RPGs, grenades, and the legendary tool gun. This little gadget allows for some truly advanced creations. For example, you can tether a dotted liner between 2 pulleys, make a tractor tire orbit a washing machine, tie Barney to a gravestone with an elastic rope, or weld together random objects to build a slingshot out of the same elastic rope. You can use the gravity gun to lift yourself up on a metal plate and promptly fall to your death. You can create ropes, ones that stretch or shrinks on their own, or ones you can adjust manually, to build all kinds of comedic scenes. You can make objects move along specific axes, spawn balloons, duplicate structures, explode children, attach wheels to a couple of boxes and ride around, and even adjust mood and textures to NPCs. In short, yes, you have the tools to... That wasn't me. Where is that sound came from? Ah, so that's how Dave wants to play. A strange box labeled Collection, Hello My Friend. It looks like I need to break it open. Got it. Dave's picked up some solid coding skills and managed to link this box to one of the many collections of mods created by other players on the Steam Workshop. Here is a mod that lets you stand on moving objects, here is a Bible to read with friends, and here is SpongeBob.
SpongeBob, unheadshottable beast. Patrick, mayonnaise warrior. Eugene Krabs, Gatling monster. Squidward, akimbo master.
So... let's get started. Since I don't have the funds for a fancy game like Lethal Company, I decided to recreate it in Garry's mod. Here's the ship, and there's the complex with ominous corridors and the same oppressive atmosphere. Pity there aren't enough monsters. Wait, scratch that. I found one. A Terminator-like NPC that adapts to its surroundings and the player's actions. Look at this. He sees me running down this corridor and waits for me at the exit. What a sneaky bastard. Let's escape to a more open space. Ah, the good old backrooms. Except I feel a little too safe here. That's more like it. Time to visit my favorite, Roscoe Street from Max Payne, and check it on my buddy Alex.
The station was drenched in gloom. Alex was a ghost, nowhere to be seen. I'd have to look for him.
Alex? Where are you? Alex? Where is my friend, you bastards? I found you, Alex. And if I have to, I will nuke an entire city to do it. I will even search for you in a Minecraft house that feels oddly familiar.
Да ты чё?
Or in this cold, lonely town. Excuse me, sir, have you seen my friend Alex? Ah, you ate him, huh? Take this! Then there is the leader mode, where you explore the map like a blind person with a laser radar. If things get boring, you can always stage a battle between a giant robot and a tank. And once you've done launching DIY rockets at it, finish it off with another nuke. Beautiful, isn't it? And I've got a working iPhone in here. It's perfect for when I need to snap a selfie of my stunning face. This phone even supports augmented reality games, listen to music, or check your location on a map. What impressed me the most was a mod that recreates the Silent Hill camera style and PS2 era graphics. Just look at this. How does it even work? Finally, I reached a mode that lets you spawn NPCs and recreate actual battles. And I will admit, I got emotional. This was exactly what Dave and I loved doing 10 years ago. I set the stage, adjusted the lights and smoke, and started with a battle between bugs and humans. Then I orchestrated a brutal fight between two squads of SWAT units, and blood flowed. Until suddenly, I was yanked to a completely different map. There, in the middle of an endless field, I found a door. I opened the door and saw a watermelon with the words, "It's time to go multiplayer." And with that, the third chapter of our story begins. During this adventure, I discovered a few core modes that I want to talk about. The first one is Sandbox. Yes, the same single-player mode, but this time you are not alone. I joined the first English-speaking server with decent activity and was met with pure chaos. First off, some of the text was in Turkish, as were many of the players, and not just any Turkish players, but aggressive Turkish players. We kept killing each other until we ran out of patience, but there was no way I could keep going like that. So I moved on to the second mode, Zombie Survival. When I first launched the server, I thought it'd be a straightforward game mode where I'd fend off endless waves of zombies, like in Call of Duty, Left 4 Dead or similar games. I was wrong on almost every count. At first, I ended up in some sort of anime cafe where everyone seemed to be on something. On my second attempt, I spawned in a warehouse with other survivors and started actively fighting off zombies trying to break our barricades. The mode features a shop where you can buy ammo, weapons, and other tools I didn't fully understand. Soon enough, my teammates abandoned me. My HP drained rapidly, and finally a random angry headcrab took my last bit of health. I thought it was game over, but wait, I became a zombie. I'm a zombie, guys. I'm a zombie. Yes, when you die, you automatically switch to the infected side. You respawn infinitely and can return to being human by killing 3 or 4 survivors. You can see through walls and change your zombie class depending on your money and XP. The gameplay usually looks something like this. On the next server, I felt more confident. I started helping teammates by fetching items to fortify choke points, bought myself a shotgun, and began more effectively blasting the undead. By the way, there is a mechanic for survivors to pass through barricades, which makes movement a lot easier. Next, I tried a different zombie map. On this one, survivors didn't have to hold control points, but instead needed to escape the horde. Overall, the gameplay didn't change much. You just have to run fast and try not to die during the short pauses while doors to the next area open. After several rounds, I gained experience and improved coordination with teammates, and can now confidently say there are 3 main survivor roles. Shooter, your job is to shoot. Medic, you run around patching up your teammates. And Cader, the unsung hero who builds and maintains barricades. The Cader's job is to gather objects from across the map and reinforce doorways to protect your holdout. And for the next 20 minutes, all I tried to do was learn how to lock props in place. Spoiler, I failed miserably, even though I pressed all the right buttons. so I had to watch an experienced skater at work. First, he created an initial line of defense with shelves, allowing survivors to shoot zombies safely. Next, he secured props to walls for easy access later. And for the second defense line, he placed long props vertically in doorways to block zombies while ensuring clear sight lines for shooting. There are entire guides on how to do this, and you are expected to study them or risk getting banned. While I couldn't secure props, I found my calling in repairing them. Just poop balloons and celebrate small wins. Later, the second cadet set up a 3D printer that suddenly supplied us with props. Why the lab was for? No idea. And then I died. Time for the next mode. Murder. Murder is essentially Among Us, but this mode existed in Garry's mod long before Among Us ever came out. Having no better option, I first joined a French server where we had to find the murderer in small countryside house. All the character model was static and the murderer wasn't really trying to hide. Yeah, not the best experience. So I switched to a Russian-speaking server, simply because it had more players. And that's where I finally understood how the mode works. The main roles in Murder are innocents, regular players with no weapons, their goal is to survive. Detectives. They have a magnum and can see footprints on the floor, which helps them identify the murderer after finding a certain number of clues scattered around the map. Murderer, the main antagonist who needs to eliminate everyone without being caught. And accomplice. Works with the murderer, and they have magnum too, but it's not loaded until they got the clues, which are converted into bullets. The first 10 rounds, I died like a cat under a truck, quickly and easily, until I finally got the murderer role. This is where the fun begins.
Какая ваша самая любимая шоколадка? Какой? Какой?
Сообщик, мятеж, моя сообщица!
Действительно. Пошел нафиг. Я такой себе.
Another time, I became the murderer's accomplice. The only memorable moment was a guy in an anime girl outfit secretly dragging corpses to some hidden spot for reason only he knew. Let's talk about Trouble in Terrorist Town, the similar mode to Murder, with one key difference. Weapons aren't exclusive to the sheriff. Innocents can be armed too. And the murderer really has to work hard to eliminate everyone. This mod also has a detailed investigation mechanic for identifying murder victims. To balance things, murderers have their own shop filled with gadgets like remote mines, disguises, and other tools of the trade. And my only success here was as an accomplice. Of course, it helps when your partner is John Wick.
Oh my god, bro.
Damn, John.
Throwing.
John, there's no way.
There's no fucking way.
Moving on to prop hunt. Hunters need to find and eliminate props controlled by players, while props must survive for a set amount of time. The funniest part is that if a hunter shoots a non-living prop, they lose health. Because of this, many players grab explosive barrels to bend the rules, only to blow themselves up instead. If that's not enough, Garry's mod also features Death Run. A team of players must navigate the obstacles, while another player activates traps to stop them. Base Wars. Players build bases and battle each other. Just make sure the server has enough players. Surfing. Glide smoothly along surfaces for stylish movement. Just like that. And Rust. Yes, there is a full Rust experience in Garry's mod. You can gather resources, loot towns, kill players, and build bases. Before we wrap up, let me introduce you to my absolutely favorite mode. Cinema. Imagine going to a movie theater in real life, but without any moral boundaries. You enter the server and see meme posters for films. In the main hall, there's a guy with a giant head and an open microphone blasting some random podcast about geopolitics. A bit to the left, a sweet kid is drawing all over the walls. Outside, a penguin and a clown are having the funniest conversation you've ever heard.
Yeah, I'm gonna rape him. Yeah, I'm gonna rape him.
The only downside is setting up a mode called Google Chromium and fiddling with codec settings. But once you get it working, you can join a cozy sauna-like room and play a random YouTube video, like one about Kirill Petrov's struggles in the coldest hut on Earth.
Kirill Petrov, the man of the house. The first thing that he does every morning is to heat the house with a wood-burning stove to keep his family warm.
Then you can leave the sauna and brain rot over TikToks with an emo pony sitting to your left. Or, if you are tired of all the chaos, you can head to a hall where a group of people relax while listening to classical music. You could also choose a room featuring a creepy cartoon about cats, a random gaming video by some guy, or something else entirely. And of course, what's a cinema without actual movies? During my visits, for example, there were screening Terminator and Idiocracy. But despite my best efforts with codec installation and countless restarts, the movie screen never loaded for me. But I'm pretty sure it looked something like this. It's time to pull back the last curtain. You see, maybe you've noticed, or maybe you haven't, but throughout my time on various maps and modes, I kept encountering strange sprays. At first it seemed like a coincidence, but when they followed me from map to map, mode to mode, I started to suspect something. Collecting all of them revealed a 6-letter combination that, when arranged correctly, spelled Dark RP. No surprise that Dave saved this mode for the final stage. Dark RP brings together all the strength and advantages of Garry's mod and is where most of its player base gathers. The first thing you see in the spawn point, a chaotic place where bandits rob newcomers and loose rules allow for creativity and mayhem. Pressing F4 opens a menu with the job options, a shop and more. But instead of diving into it right away, I decided to explore and observe how people live here. The first person I encountered was a guy building a strange contraption. It turned out to be an oil rig. I was genuinely amazed by what's possible here. It felt like an industrial craft mode for Minecraft. I continued my exploration and stumbled upon a shop with a sign that absolutely did not sell drugs. As I walked in, Arabic music played, and I found a group of heavily armored individuals. One of them suddenly lost it and sprayed bullets in my direction. It was time to make some money. Among the available jobs, the best one for my brain was trash collector. Armed with the same tools as any citizen and a powerful vacuum cleaner for sucking up trash, I began my journey. While searching for trash, I wandered into a dark alley and witnessed a mafia hit on some poor guy.
Is we just a minute?
Maybe you recognize me now, purple. Yeah, it's me, man. What's going on?
This is illegal. I have to pass. This is illegal.
When my trash bag was full, I faced a new problem, finding a disposal unit to offload the 100 kg of garbage I'd collected. I roamed the city clueless about what to do. Feeling dejected, I walked into a smoothie shop. Just as I was about to order a drink, a fellow trash collector approached to vacuum up my wrappers. Luckily, this guy knew what he was doing. He explained that all collected trash must first be processed into boxes at a special facility before being delivered into a disposal unit. Ecstatic, I treated myself to a smoothie. The vendor skillfully sliced fruit, blended it all, and handed me the most delicious drink ever. It was so good I started flying across the map until I died. In my next life, I decided to become a city walker, fixing fire hydrants and street light for a decent paycheck. The money came in handy when during a lockdown I accidentally got arrested for being outside. While in jail, Arabic music played, accompanied by moral teachings.
Who believe in the unseen, establish prayer, and spend out of what we have provided for them.
The only way out? Either wait out my sentence or bribe the gods. I choose the latter. My next step toward becoming a legend in this city was visiting the casino, where I definitely lost more than I won, followed by purchasing a house and setting up a security system with disappearing walls controlled by Face ID. All of this was to establish my secret empire production Philip Morris cigarettes. All I needed was a cigarette machine that required the right amount of tobacco and paper to operate. Naturally, I also acquired highly illegal money printers that generated a couple of $1,000 every 5 minutes. The real challenge came when I discovered a way to sell cigarettes individually rather than in full batches. The problem was that whenever I tried to pick up a sealed pack of cigarettes, it would disappear. Frustrated, I decided to buy another building and brew some moonshine instead. To do this, I assembled a distiller, a cooling system, and a condenser. All that was required was an empty barrel, water, sugar, and crushed yeast. Then it was just a matter of waiting for fermentation to complete, pouring everything into the system, and waiting for jars of moonshine to emerge, which I sold to a buyer at a good price. Tired of city life, I decided to explore other Dark RP servers. The second most populated server was Star Wars themed. Upon joining as a cadet, I was greeted by a trainee named After Dark, who kindly offered to help me get started. The first thing I had to do as a recruit was change my name to something like this. After that, I was introduced to the alert levels, categorized into 5 stages, from normal to full evacuation. Next, I was briefed on a combat station and the ranking system, which was so extensive it took up 2 entire boards. The briefing continued with the 3 rules: don't shoot your allies, don't fight Jedi, don't pick up someone else's weapon. The first and last rules could only be broken under command orders. And of course there were access levels, military commands for turning and marching, like left face and right face, and binds for saluting or asking someone to strip their weapons and comms. And specific protocols apply to interaction with higher ranking officers. For instance, if an officer passed in front of you in certain locations, you had to salute them, but if they were behind you and out of sight, no salute was required. There were also rules for escorting prisoners and engaging in combat with proper rotations. After a small test of the knowledge I gained, I was finally promoted to soldier status. I began exploring the base, checking out the kitchen, which was empty, wandering through identical corridors and staircases until I stumbled upon the training field, which seemed incredibly interesting. To build anything for yourself, you first had to submit a server request. Once approved, you could proceed with your plans. I met the command officer of a regiment 1 rank above mine. He invited me to join, and after another test on technical knowledges, I was welcomed into the unit. Since my rank has increased, I was expected to know more, so instructor was assigned to me, and they took me back to the training field, where I was taught how to breach buildings with a team and various approaches to doing so. They also explained the prioritization of different targets and the need to protect individuals with higher ranked badges first. I even received a file explaining everything in detail. On my next visit to the server, a war against robots was underway. And as a soldier of the 501st Battalion, I was picked up and thrown into the heart of battle. What amused me was that none of the knowledge I'd gained beforehand was useful in the war. The primary goal was to shoot anything that moved and looked like a pile of metal. I died often, but medics stationed behind the line quickly revived me and set me back into the fray. This cycle continued until we reached a cave, where we destroyed the robot command center and won the war. If Star Wars isn't your thing, but you're still looking for military gameplay, Garry's mod has plenty to offer, including simulation of World War II and occupied cities. I moved on to try servers with manga themes, clearly something anime related. Upon entering, I realized I had stepped into a magical RPG world, where I needed to create a character and choose an elementary affinity at spawn to defeat enemies. That's basically it. Not only were the server with active players all French, but as I wandered through the city I discovered it was completely empty. Although the mechanics in this mode were actually pretty cool, all I found outside the walls was an elemental that destroyed my ass and a boar, which I was able to slay. On the second French server, with similar mechanics inspired by the anime Demon Slayer, the local demons advised me to look for other English-speaking server because no one here seemed to know how to communicate properly. Wandering alone, I stumbled upon one of my most enjoyable spots, the SCP-themed servers. For those who don't know, this is a fictional universe with terrifying anomalies contained by a special foundation. The only active servers I found were Russian language, but don't worry, I will translate for you.
Sir, can I pass through this lovely closed door that divides me and my family?
I apologize, my friend, but due to the rules, I am unable to do this.
I apologize for my tactlessness, but could you at least show me a photo of my daughter so I can remember what love is?
Just like in a regular Dark RP server, you can choose a profession, but only after reaching a certain level or having enough money. With my background, I could only become a member of the so-called D class, expendable material used for experiments with SCPs, paranormal entities that are also controlled by humans. At first, nothing special happened until one of my colleagues decided to kill a couple of guards and start a small revolution. As a result, me and another guy were sent for experiments with SCP-96, a creature that kills you as soon as you look at it. Due to staff's incompetence, the creature killed not only us but also the personnel in the room, which triggered an alert. Judging by the gunshots I heard coming from the complex, there was a massacre, but I couldn't see any of it from my location. We started another rebellion, and they blindfolded me and gagged me, telling me they were taking me to a doctor for a prostate exam. And there he was, the Plague Doctor, who turns everyone into zombies. That's exactly what happened to me and my unfortunate companion. The Plague Doctor was in a good mood and gave us names. My partner was bald because he had no hair, and I was black because I was black. After a while, he ordered us to break down the door with him to bring chaos to the entire complex. During this process, the shy guy also escaped, and there were a lot of killings, until they finally shot us. In my new life, I became a janitor, with access to more rooms in the complex. My duties logically included walking around and cleaning out the pools of blood left behind by the actions of the security personnel. After gaining some experience, I became an engineer, which meant I earned more money and had access to even more rooms, repairing electrical panels and machinery after unfortunate accidents. The funniest thing that happened to me here was that I became a witness to an attack on the complex by rebels, and because of me, a quarantine was later imposed. I had carelessly walked into a dangerous bacterium that turned me into a zombie, and then, in addition, I beat a few people who in turn beat others. Tired of monsters and violence, I decided to return to my familiar first Dark RP server, buy a small house by the shore and set it up with a Bitcoin mining farm, printers and of course a money laundering machine. Suddenly, I heard a knock on my door from an unknown person. Opening the door, I saw no one outside, but there were numbers written on the floor. As I later guessed, these were coordinates to a real location, specifically a McDonald's where we used to eat together with Dave, my dear friend. Without thinking, I went to that location and saw him. We both laughed about the quest Dave had come up with for me and ate delicious burgers. Then we rode our bikes to the nearby computer club to play Garry's mod together. After all, it's a great game.